Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here on the west coast of Canada. I hope everybody is having a good weekend so far. I hope you're all staying healthy and strong and optimistic. Welcome Janelle, hi Paulo, hi Irfan. Good to see many members in the class already, and that's great because this is a question and answer session for that Band 9 performance. That's right. So in this class, our students get a chance to ask me questions that they have about English and about the IELTS so that they can improve their communication and their band scores. While we wait for a few more students and members, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com. That's academicenglishhelp.com, as well as GIELTS help.com. That's generalieltshelp.com. Both of those websites have lots and lots of information for your improvement on the IELTS exam. Let me just show you those real quickly and show you where you have resources to help you answer questions about IELTS and study for the English exam. So this is aehelp.com here with the blue background. You can click this big red button to join the premium package. We are an official British Council IELTS test registration center and certified agents, and it's a one-time payment for lifetime access. So when you join, you'll have access to your My Student account here, and I'll just darken this up a little bit so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. I'm not just trying to advertise this for you, but I'm also showing you where you can get a lot of information. So you have computer-based IELTS practice exams, a full online course for the academic IELTS, workbooks, study plans, lesson videos, and so on. There's over a couple hundred hours of interactive materials for your learning. And then you can actually ask us questions, members, by clicking this Contact Us button here. And you can also find out a lot of information with the blogs and through the forum. So like if you go to the blog, then you'll see lots of topics for speaking. You can do a search for, let's say, task 2, question types. And then it will show you all of the different IELTS Task 2 question types. So lots and lots of information in there, okay, students? And the same thing for the general IELTS at gieltshelp.com. It's the green background. Again, just click this big red button to join the premium package there. And then you can get a lot of information. Again, it doesn't cost a lot of money, so it's worth your investment, and spend some time there discovering what the IELTS is about, and you'll definitely get some better band scores. Of course, we have apps, Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help. You can get those in your app stores. You can link it to your web account and then get information on the fly wherever you are, okay? Hi, Georgian. Hi, Akshay. Hi, Shahid. Hi, Dilawar. Paulo, 1 month to the IELTS exam. That's great. Yeah, definitely practice as much speaking as possible, Paulo. So each and every day. What I always tell students is to think with the mind of a child when it comes to speaking. What that means, Paulo, is just speak as much as you can, as often as you can. Don't worry about mistakes. Don't worry about embarrassing yourself. It doesn't matter. Just keep your goal in front of you to improve your English speaking and to get a better band score. Okay, Paulo? So as much speaking as possible. You have to actively go and seek out speaking partners. Anybody who speaks English around you, your dad, your mom, your brother, sister, son, daughter, whoever it is, talk to them in English. Okay? All right? You can contact me if I don't answer your questions at adrian@aehelp.com. Okay, just send me an email. And today we'll have a speaking part 3 practice as well. And then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, no class. That's kind of our usual. And then we will have a full week of classes next week with lots of speaking and writing. Okay, so this is a member Q&A class. Of course, everybody can ask their questions, and I will give you some answers to the best of my ability. Now, I know lots about IELTS, so you can ask me any question that you want. And I'll start with Paulo. So members, you can ask me your questions. Thomas, Karan, Dilawar, Shahid, you can ask me your questions as well. I'll look at the first questions that I see. If I see questions which are similar, I will try to make some connections between those answers. Okay. So Paulo's question is, with my exam a month away, what can I do to maximize my speaking score? Let's say that. So I'm going to interpret your question like that, Paulo. So 2 things. A, okay, speak as often as possible, right? So really that's just absolutely important here. So just speak as often as you can, Paulo. Repeat what you hear. Speak as often as you can. Speak to anyone in English. Tell people, say, hey, I have a really important exam coming up in a month that can change my life. If I get a really good score, please just speak to me in English just for the next month. Then we can go back to speaking Portuguese or Spanish or whatever your mother tongue is, okay? So speak as often as possible. Don't worry about the opinion of others. Don't worry about making mistakes. Okay, just speak. All right, the second one is get feedback. Okay, so ask people to correct you. When they hear you say a mistake, just be very upfront. Be overt. So clearly say, I have an exam coming up. It has a speaking portion. If I'm making mistakes when I'm speaking, please tell me. Please let me know. Okay, I appreciate that. So get feedback. Record yourself on your phone. Listen to yourself. Okay. All right. Now, Paulo says, it's hard for me to come up with ideas. What can I do? Practice coming up with ideas. Okay. Okay, Paulo, watch this game show. You can probably find it on YouTube or on the internet somewhere if you can't find it on your TV. So watch this game show called Family Feud. It's basically all about coming up with popular ideas for certain topics. So it's a game show that's based on coming up with the right ideas, okay? So most popular food people eat for breakfast: ham and eggs, pancakes, jam and toast, rice and fish. Okay, so this game show is all about coming up with the most popular ideas. Play with them. Okay, so play with the game show. Talk out loud while you're watching the game show. It will be a great way for you to enhance your critical thinking. Think of popular answers to common everyday situations and questions. So try that out. Okay. All right. So I really want to give everyone useful tips. Okay. All right. All right. Thomas Vinod is asking. So this is Thomas. Thomas is asking, What is the best strategy for list of headings? Okay, Thomas, we actually have a video on this. So my first answer, Thomas, is check out this video. And it's an HD video, so it's not a live class video, so it's kind of easier to watch as well, Thomas. There's an HD video on our YouTube channel that focuses just on list of headings questions. Okay, so check that out. So check out the list of heading strategy video on our YouTube channel, which you're on right now, Academic English Help. Okay, that's the quick answer. First, so what you have to do is after you read a paragraph, figure out what the paragraph is about, and then match the closest heading to your answer. Okay, so Thomas, an important trick with list of headings questions in the reading is that you have to first think about the answer on your own and then think about the correct answer. So list of headings, you have to be very careful and you want to kind of paraphrase them. So let me show you a list of headings question here really quickly, everyone, so that you get a clearer idea. Again, my goal here with this Q&A session is always to give you clarity on these questions, okay? So here you have a list of headings questions, okay? All right. So first you want to look at these and paraphrase them in your head very quickly in the exam, in the real exam when you see this. So list of headings: violent eruptions, magma, lava, and new islands. Paraphrasing that, it's volcanoes, okay? So this means volcanoes, all right? The destruction of Pompeii, a big city, is destroyed. Two continents become many, so two massive land pieces become a lot of small pieces. Fossil evidence, so proof by looking at ancient bones. Adjacent continents, so land masses that are beside each other. An intuitive notion, a theory or a hypothesis. Okay, an intuitive notion. So you kind of paraphrase all of these. And then when you read a paragraph, so let's say we read this one, C, okay? So I'm going to read this nice and fast because this is not a reading class, it's a Q&A class. I'm just showing you how to do this nice and quickly, okay? So initially, Pangaea divided into two parts named Laurasia and Gondwana. Laurasia consisted of what is today North America, Asia, and Europe, whilst Gondwana comprised modern-day South America, Africa, and Australia. These supercontinents eventually split apart further, resulting in today's continental configuration. It is interesting to note that today's continental alignment is just that. Millions of years in the future, the Earth's continents will appear very different given enough time. It is possible that the Earth's land masses will return to a Pangaea-like unified state. So in the exam, I just read this paragraph. Now I ask myself, what is this paragraph about? Well, it's about the separation of Pangaea into Laurasia and Gondwana, and then the further separation of Laurasia and Gondwana into all of the different continents that we see on the Earth today, okay, including these. So that's what it's about, okay? According to my best knowledge, that's what it's about. Now I go back and I go, okay, well, which one of these list of headings closest matches with this idea of Pangaea dividing into two continents and then these two continents dividing into many continents? And right away, I can see that the closest match when I read through these together, or sorry, carefully here, the closest match is two continents become many, okay? So Laurasia and Gondwana become many different continents, Okay, it's not a hypothesis of unity because there's no theory there. It is what it is. Okay, and this becomes the closest match. So I choose the closest match. I put that in my answer sheet, and then I move on. Okay, so that's how you figure out list of headings in an efficient way. The very important point here, students and Thomas, is don't just look at these thinking that they're going to jump out. Okay, and don't just read the first sentence and then try to match it. That strategy is not effective. If you do that, you will get some of your answers wrong. All right, so don't do that. Okay. All right. So let's go to the next question from our students. Okay. Okay, Georgian says, how do you overcome procrastination? I always end up procrastinating and always say to myself that tomorrow I'll start fresh and no more procrastination. Okay, very good question, Georgian. Yeah, procrastination is a tough challenge for, I would say, all people. Okay. Georgian is asking, how do I overcome procrastination? Okay, procrastination means to keep delaying responsibility. Okay, so how do you get around that? Okay, so how do you get around that? Okay, there's a lot of great information on the web on how to do this. I'm going to share with you some of the ones that I feel have worked the best for me. Okay, so number one is set a schedule. Okay, and I mean a physical schedule. I use a wall calendar, okay? In fact, it's not far from here, so I'll show it to you, okay? So here is my wall calendar, and I don't want to show you the details because that's private, but you can kind of see that there it is, okay? You can see that I use highlighters and everything, and this is hanging on my wall. So this is always reminding me of what I should be doing that day. And if I don't do it, I know that the next day I've got lots more to do. So I'm just creating a difficult situation for myself. So use a physical calendar to remind you, okay? Digital calendars are not the best on your phone, like using Google Calendar in this way, because you don't see them until it's too late, okay? Some Google reminders that, your phone will say you've got this in 10 minutes, so you should be doing this. It's good, but a wall calendar is great, okay? All right, so set a schedule. Always remember that Rome was not built in a day, okay? This means that in order to achieve greatness in life, you have to take small steps every single day. If you want to speak English really well, you have to study it every single day, okay? So you have to have long-term vision and long-term goals, okay? That's the other one. And then never quit on your goals. If you're a smoker, there's a great saying, then never quit quitting. Okay. I used to smoke, and it took me a long time to quit. And one of the important tricks or skills that I had for me was that I just didn't give up. So even if I quit for a week and then I started smoking again, I was like, I got to just quit again and keep quitting until you eventually quit, right? So just because you don't fully succeed in your task or in what you have planned the first day, the second day, don't give up on it. Do it the third day. Life is long, okay? Keep that in mind. So if you don't pass IELTS the first time, the second time, don't give up on yourself. Do it later, okay? So those are just some of the big tips on procrastination and how you can overcome it. But again, there's lots more there, Georgian. So overcoming procrastination is super, super important. Be physically active. I think that's my fourth one before I go to the next one, okay? So be physically active. So our physical fitness, our strength of body is the foundation for our ability to achieve in life, okay? And if you want to make life easier and better for yourself, then start jogging, start doing swimming, start doing some yoga, because that will greatly help you to reduce procrastination. It's been a huge benefit in my life, and I can only say good things about the value of regular exercise. Doing exercise regularly in itself builds a mentality of a routine, okay? So even when I'm busy with my new baby, because I have a 3-month-old, as some of you know, even when I'm busy with my 5-year-old daughter, with making videos for IELTS, I never ever skip on my exercise because that is the foundation for my ability to achieve or to do, okay? So that's another one, is to be physically active. Go for a run, go swimming, do yoga, okay? Those are good ones. All right. That builds a mentality of doing. Okay. All right. Karan has a question. So Karan is asking, how do I improve my reading? Okay, that's actually a very good question, Karan. It's very general, and it's like, okay, well, it's like, how do I improve my speaking, right? We could talk about it all day, all night. So how do I do that? Well, Karen, the first and most important thing about reading that you have to recognize is there are two approaches. So two elements or components to improving reading. Okay. One is improve comprehension, which basically means understanding what you read. Okay. And two is to improve fluency, the speed of reading. Okay. You can improve these separately and then put them together. Okay. In our course on our website, we have a technique called power reading. Okay. And in power reading, we teach how to do this. So how to target comprehension, and then how to target fluency in reading, and then how to put that all together. So when you're focusing on fluency, that means how fast you read it, okay? The first thing that you want to do is you want to skim a paragraph. Let me just show you this a little as big as possible here. So here I'm working on my speed of reading, okay? To improve my speed of reading, what I can do is I can just skim for some difficult words and pronounce them twice, nice and loud, Okay, names are a good idea. So Africa, South America, former, insight, Flemish, cartographer, Abraham, Ortelius, 1596. Continents, 300 years, theory, developed, mechanism, phenomenon, discovered. Okay, so what I did here is any word that I thought might trip me up while I'm reading in my fluency, I pronounce them twice, nice and loud. If I don't know the pronunciation, I can check on Google, okay? It will tell me. Then once I have pronounced these words twice, nice and loud, what I'm going to do now is read this paragraph faster than I can, okay? So faster than I can out loud, okay? So when looking at a map of the world, naturally notice Africa and South America seem to be able to fit together as if they're two parts of one whole. It was an insight led Flemish cartographer Abraham Ortelius in 1956 to put forward the first time the idea that one period of continents were different places than they are today. It would take over 300 years for their theory to be fully developed and 50 years for that mechanism of phenomenon to be discovered. Okay, so I'm making some mistakes. I made a mistake with the year a little bit. I'm missing some of the prepositions. But that's okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm pushing my tongue, my mouth, my mind to move faster and faster, okay? It's like a person who's practicing short distance running, the 100-meter dash. They're always trying to run faster and faster, and sometimes they trip and fall, okay? So that's normal. That's a part of their development. And it's the same thing with reading. So you can push yourself, and you can actually use this technique to become so quick in your reading that you're not even reading words, but you're reading sentences and entire paragraphs with the glance of an eye, okay? I can read entire sentences just by looking at these paragraphs. I have a friend who can read an entire paragraph looking at the paragraph, okay? So you can master this. Again, it's a step-by-step. And then, of course, you can look at comprehension. So when you look at comprehension, you do what I was saying to Thomas with the list of headings, where you're thinking about what is this paragraph about? Why is the author writing this? How is the author presenting the information? So you use what's called critical active reading. Now, for me to explain all the steps and all the details, that's a whole class. So Karen, I'm going to stop there, but you get the idea. So fluency, comprehension, put the two together, okay? All right? And you can learn that in the full course at ahelp.com and gieltshelp.com under the lesson for power reading, okay? So power reading. So check this out in your premium course at ahelp.com or gieltshelp.com under the power reading lesson. Okay, it's a big lesson, so I don't want to spend the whole day on it, but that's the idea. Okay, so hopefully you get the idea. All right. Okay, yeah, Paulo working for an American company to use English 3 days a week. Try to do it even more, okay? So even more, but that's a great start, all right? All right. Okay, let's take a look at the next question. So, okay. Georgina, I'm not sure what you mean by space repetition technique. You'll have to explain that a little bit more specifically. Shadowing techniques are usually pretty good, but don't just do shadowing techniques. So definitely you want to shadow. One shadowing technique is watching movies with subtitles and then shadowing the actors and the actresses. Absolutely, those are good techniques for improving language elements such as speaking, okay? Okay, Deepika is saying my test is in 2 days on the 25th and 26th. Tell me some last minute tips and tricks. Should I do any mock tests anymore? Yeah, Deepika, that's a really good question. I will love to answer that question. So, Deepika is asking, I have a test in 48 hours. What are some last minute tips and tricks? Okay. Answers. Yeah, absolutely. I got some answers for you, Deepika. So, first of all, you're asking me, should I do a mock test? Yes, definitely. Okay. So, do a timed mock exam where you sit for 3 hours without breaks and interruptions to do the listening, reading, and writing. Then a couple of hours later, do the speaking mock interview. Okay. Deepika, you can do mock speaking interviews with me on our website. So let me show you that real quick, students, where you can do that. So here, when you're in your My Student account, if you click on this speaking interview practice, you can book a speaking interview with myself or with another IELTS professional. These days, you're usually doing it with me. And it's a 15-minute speaking interview for the IELTS, just like the real exam. And then I'll give you feedback in your score and tell you what you can do. I can give you some really good last-minute tips on how to save some band scores, okay? Students really find that very, very useful. So click on that button and use it. So definitely do that mock exam. Absolutely. Okay, it's a very, very good idea. Do it timed. So don't be like, okay, I'm going to do a listening section, come back an hour later, and then do the reading. Don't do that. It's a very different experience when it's 3 hours with no breaks. Okay, all right. Also, be confident. Get good sleep. Do not cram. Okay. Does everybody know what cramming means? Means studying too much last minute. Okay, you might be able to cram for a history exam for school or a math exam, but you can't cram for a language exam, okay? It's unrealistic. So languages, it's not like learning for a specific topic in history or science. You can't cram for it, okay? So there's no point in doing that. All you're going to do is make yourself stressed and make yourself tired. So please don't cram, okay, last minute for your IELTS exam. It's a really bad idea, and I hear of students doing that all the time. Don't do it, okay? Eat good food. Do not take in too much caffeine. Caffeine or sugar. Okay, so don't make yourself hyper. Some people think, oh, if I drink a whole bunch of coffee, I'll be really alert and attentive, but it's actually not true. Okay, too much coffee is not good for you. It'll distract you. Okay, it'll make you more nervous. So don't do that either. All right. Okay. Let's see some more questions. So Shahid is asking, sir, is it important to use advanced English words in essays or in letters? It's a really good question, Shahid, and I think it's one that many students are asking all the time. So Shahid is asking, is it important to use advanced vocabulary in essays, and in speaking? Okay, so this is a really tricky one. Yes, in order to get a band 8 or 9 in speaking and writing, you do have to use specific and select vocabulary which best fits for the context. Okay. However, it is better to use simple vocabulary accurately than to use advanced vocabulary incorrectly. Okay? So you have to find the right balance, students, all right? You have to find the right balance. Sometimes what I see is IELTS candidates are trying to use advanced vocabulary in their speaking or writing, but they use it incorrectly. And that's bad. That'll actually push your score further down than if you're just using everyday vocabulary, but you're using it correctly. So only use vocabulary that you know, okay? All right? And don't force vocabulary. Okay? For example, over the moon or plethora. Okay? So, what sometimes I see candidates doing is they're trying to like put vocabulary purposefully and awkwardly into their writing or into their speaking. And that usually has a negative effect on your scores. So if you're like, I met up with my friends yesterday for coffee and I was over the moon. It's kind of like, really? You were over the moon because you met your friends for coffee? That's just awkward. It sounds like you're just pushing it in there, okay? Or if I'm like, what is the reason people do exercise? And then if you say, well, there are a plethora of reasons for people to do exercise, it's kind of like, you're probably just forcing that in there. There are a few different reasons people do exercise: to stay healthy, stay strong, stay fit, have a good mind, have good attitude. But saying plethora of reasons, it's kind of like, really? So you have to be really careful. You have to use vocabulary accurately, but certainly for those higher level band scores, 8 or 9, you do need to use advanced vocabulary, okay? Right? Just don't force it, okay? Don't force your vocabulary. All right. Let's see some more questions. We're trying to pick some different students. So Bakrat is asking, I do believe that I'm learning and practicing for improving my speaking and writing skills every day. Only one problem is that I'm always excited to talk virtually, but lose confidence in person and make numerous mistakes. Yeah, okay. So, Bakrat, what you're saying is that when you're in person, you're a little bit, more shy. And that's totally normal, okay? I'm going to try to say this as politely as possible, and it's with good intention that I say this, okay? So Bakrat is saying, okay, so bear with me here. So Bakrat's saying, I'm confident in online communication, but I get shy when I'm communicating face to face in person. Okay. Bakrat, that's, I think, common for a lot of people. All right. My answer is don't care so much because people, and I'm trying to say this really politely here, because people don't care as much. About you either. So And I mean that in the most sincere way, in the most friendly way, Bakrat. We as people tend to think that others judge us and care about us a lot, but in most cases, 9 of 10 times, it's absolutely not true. Everybody's got their own problems. Everybody's got their own responsibilities. Especially in today's world, people are super busy trying to survive, trying to have a good quality of life, and they just don't care that much. So express yourself, give your best, and remember that people aren't judging you as much as you think they are judging you. Okay? So that's what I mean by this. People aren't judging you as much as you think they are judging you. They too are often thinking about what they will eat for lunch while you are speaking to them. And you know what? If they are judging you, who cares? So keep that in mind, okay? And just be yourself. Now, that doesn't mean turn into a jerk and be like, blah, 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 blah. So don't do that, okay? Be polite, stay the course, speak your mind. But remember that there's not as much criticism in the situation as you might believe, okay? All right? So just talk, Bakrat, just talk, all right? All right. Pachu, I'm not sure what you mean by is it better to read chunks or words or phrases? It depends on your skills. If you can read entire phrases, then read entire phrases. But if you need to go word by word, it is better to read phrases in advanced reading because you get a better concept of ideas. But that's sometimes very tricky to do in another language. Okay, Pachu? All right. Ganesh is asking a good question too. Ganesh is asking, how do I manage my time in reading? Yeah, okay. So, Ganesh, first thing is make sure to practice your timing at home. Okay, so make sure to practice that 20-minute per reading at home, all right? And then if I break it down, you should be spending about 1 minute to predict the passage based on the title and questions, okay? You should spend about 10 minutes reading the passage. Depending on your speed, but I would say about 10 minutes reading the passage and 9 minutes answering questions about. You shouldn't need more than 40 seconds per question on average. Okay? So if it's taking you minutes to solve a question in the reading, this is for the academic, by the way. General is a little bit different, but if you're taking minutes to solve a question, you're probably doing something wrong, and it's very difficult to actually get an answer correct spending minutes on one question, okay? So be very, very careful with that. All right. Yeah, so Harwinder is giving a tip for that last point. Harwinder is saying, don't think that you're putting yourself under the scrutiny of others. Yeah, absolutely. So other people aren't actually scrutinizing you. People don't go around all day going, I'm going to criticize that person. I'm going to criticize that person. So we feel that way because we hear a lot of criticism in the world, but we're not actually criticizing every moment of every day. It's a very good point, Harwinder. So people aren't really scrutinizing all the time. Okay? Deepika, if you want to book a speaking interview with me, use that function on the website. I'll send you back a letter to set up the schedule, and then we can figure it out. I usually do not work on Sunday, Monday, Tuesdays. Sundays I do, sorry. Mondays, Tuesdays I don't really do it. So try to do it early. If you want to get a speaking interview with me, try to book that at least 4 or 5 days before your exam. Okay, so don't leave it for the last day and be like, oh, I'll talk to Adrian tomorrow at 5 o'clock. I get pretty busy, so try to be at least 4 or 5 days ahead. Okay. Andre's asking, do we need vaccination for the paper-based exam? Probably, Andre. You have to check with your test center, but it's most likely that you're going to need vaccination for either the computer or the paper-based exam as well. Okay, Andre? So, yeah, it's the way the world is going. If you want to do these kinds of public activities, like sitting the IELTS exam, you're going to need a vaccination. It's very, very likely, but again, you have to check with your local IELTS exam center. There are different rules in different places. Okay. All right, everyone. So I think that's good for today. So lots of questions answered. Again, if I didn't answer all of your questions, go to our websites. You can click the Contact Us button. You can use the forum, the blog. Lots of information on the website, ahelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. To join our premium IELTS course, it's really worth it. Click that big red button. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. It costs about 1/10 or less of the actual IELTS exam, so worth the investment for sure. Have an awesome break. I'm going to come back in 30 minutes with speaking part 3 lesson, focusing on speaking part 3 questions. So that's coming up after a short break in 30 minutes. Again, websites, ahelp.com, gieltshelp.com. The apps are Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help. Check out those apps in your app stores. Keep up the good work, everyone. Keep asking questions. That's a really important part of development, is asking lots of questions. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out for now, but I'll be back again in half an hour. Bye, everyone.